What's up guys, and welcome back to the Melbourne 245 series. This is the Training Diaries, an episode where I deep dive into my previous week of training, a conversation regarding all things training, nutrition, workouts, everything that goes into planning for a sub 245 marathon. A podcast style video that you can throw on while your barber's fading your shit up for your next race. Oh, and we are 3 weeks away from Melbourne Marathon. It is creeping up. I cannot wait. But last week was one of the most enjoyable weeks that I've done in a long time. I recovered well coming off the back of a Sydney marathon, and I pretty much just dived headfirst into what was going to be one of the biggest weeks that I've done in a while. I smashed 2 key sessions and I only ran solo once, so that's probably why I really enjoyed this week. You just can't beat good company, especially while you're running. Even with a full rest day thrown in, I still managed to hit 114 kilometers total mileage for the week. And of course, I'm absolutely chuffed with that. So let's get into the training deep dive of the week that was the 16th to the 22nd of September. This video series is once again proudly sponsored by Aid Station. They're keeping me fueled and hydrated for my preparations to run 245 at the Melbourne Marathon, and have done so for the past 2 years. I can always count on Aid Station to have the best products and super fast shipping. So check them out if you want to support me by supporting them. Now, back to you, Dave. All right, starting us off on Monday. This is a first for any Training Diaries episode, but I had Monday off. Because it was the day after the marathon, I thought I deserved it was a well-deserved rest, you could say. So I decided not to run, and I just went for a couple walks that day and just tried to recover because, like I said, I really wanted to still hit this week hard. So I thought I'm going to need a full day of rest if I'm looking to get back into it. I was sore. Nowhere near as sore as I have been from other marathons. All in all, I was still sore. It still is an extra long run on the Sunday. 42 Ks is going to make you feel something no matter who you are, no matter how fast you're running. And yeah, so I just decided to have a rest day on the Monday. So 0 kilometers in total for the Monday. Then we come to the Tuesday. This is where I would usually have my session with the run group down at Main Beach. But I had all intentions of going. I set my alarm. I was going to go, and even though I was a little bit sore, I was still just going to run easy, but do it with other people around. And I find that if I can get it done nice and early with the group, even if I'm running easy, it just sets me up better for the day. But I slept in. Don't know how. I haven't slept in for ages. Slept through an alarm. I must have snoozed it or something. But I slept in, so I didn't go to the run group, and then I had to ultimately run by myself. I just decided to do an hour easy, which I did at 5-minute Ks, and that got me 12 kilometers in total for the day. I said here, probably for the best, as I'm still a bit sore from Sydney Marathon, but I've got to get the mileage up this week. How fun. So I already started the week on the back foot. I was behind on my regular Ks. So it wasn't looking too good at this stage, where I still wanted to hit that around that 120. So I was already behind as of Tuesday. So yeah, just easy 60, 12 Ks on the feet. And I wore the Puma Mag Max for those ones because I was feeling sore, and those are the best. Then we come to Wednesday. So Wednesday, I would usually do an easy 60 minutes after my session the day before. I didn't do the session, and also, I've been wanting to do this run for quite a few weeks now, but it just hasn't worked out with my schedule and my body being sore from all the races that I've been doing lately. But the run group, the same group, they go on a Wednesday morning and they do a nice hilly route through Ashmore, and it usually is around 20-ish K. I've wanted to go on this Wednesday morning run with the group for so long, and I finally had the opportunity to do it. And that's exactly what I did. So I got here midweek long run. We ran for 90 minutes. We ran at 4:32 pace on average, and I ran 20 kilometers on the dot. This was a great run. I wish that I was smashing this week in, week out of this whole block. I think it would have just made me incredibly fit. There's one thing I neglect in training, it's hills. Not on purpose, but just, I don't know, it just hasn't really fit in. And there's not really many hills close to me. I guess I've just been lazy, to be fair. This was my one chance to do the hilly route, and that's what I did. And I'm so glad that I did it. Really, really enjoyed it. there was some absolute heartbreakers in that, like heartbreaking hills. Like the 8K here was a 4:14 split. It was a minus 25 elevation. So the what goes up must come down. And yeah, it was really hilly. Managed to keep it pretty chill. I wore the super shoes because body was still feeling a little bit sore and just thought I might use that extra help. I wore the Endorphin Elites. So yeah, you could say I was absolutely loving life. We got some cool photos here. And yeah, it was just an overall great Wednesday. So 20 Ks in total for the Wednesday. I was thinking, I'm making these Ks back. I'm slowly getting my Ks back. We might hit the good target this week. That's what I was thinking. Then we come to Thursday. So Thursday is my 80-minute easy. This one I did 40 minutes on my own, and then I did 40 minutes with my friend Jake. I met him down at Mermaid Beach where he lives. Yeah, I just smashed out 40 minutes on the solo, and then picked him up for the next 40. So we did 80 minutes in total. I averaged 4:53s, ran a little bit slower with Jake, and then I got 16.5K for the morning. I wore the Asics Super Blast. Don't ask me why. I just felt like wearing them and they felt great. But yeah, that was good. And like I said, barely ran solo this week. So it was just good to have the company, and that 80 minutes went so fast by. But yeah, really good morning, beautiful sunrise. Good to see the bro as well. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. Then we come to Friday. So Friday is my session day, as you guys would know. I loved this session. I was feeling fresh for once, and it's probably been a good 2 and a bit weeks since I've actually smashed a hard session with the group, just purely because I've had either a race that weekend, so I wasn't writing myself off. I was kind of doing like a less intense session. So I always found myself just running around marathon pace for all of the efforts that I've been doing lately with the group. And this was my chance to finally just rip the lid off and actually have a crack. And it's exactly what I did. And it was so fun. So we started off with a 5K warm up, as we always do. I did those Ks in the Neo Vista. We ran 5Ks, 450 pace, just over 24 minutes. So that was our warm up. And then we got into the session. So the session was 3 by 10 minutes with a 2-minute jog recovery. What was special about this session, it wasn't just a regular 10 minutes, so it was a bit of a progression. So the first 7 minutes were done, I guess, threshold pace, and then the next 3 minutes were done faster. So it was really good. It actually mentally made the session go faster. It was good to just break up that 10 minutes. I'll break up these 3 10-minute sections, and I'll tell you the paces that I did for those. So the first 10 minutes, the first 7 minutes was done at 3:43 pace. So you could say that's a little bit slower than my half marathon effort, or probably close to my half marathon effort. And then we backed up 3:33 pace for the 3 minutes that was directly after that 7 minutes. So I will say that there is no rest in between the 7 and the 3 minutes, but then there is a 2-minute jog recovery, which we did at about 4:30 pace here for all of the 2-minute jog recoveries. Then we come into the second rep, where the 7 minutes we ran at 4:42 pace average, so 1 second faster than the first 10 minutes. And then we did 3:33 pace again for that 3-minute effort. So yeah, we were dialing it in. At this stage, I was feeling really good. I was feeling really in control. I felt super locked in, and it just felt, at this stage, I was just feeling like just happy to be ripping into a session and not having to worry about a race on the weekend. And I was feeling pretty good, to be honest, after running easy all week. And I was feeling really recovered from Sydney Marathon. So I was just raring to go. But then we come to the final 10-minute rep. So this one, we did get a bit keen. The first 7 minutes was 4:41 pace. So that's 1 second faster again. And then the last 3 minutes was 3:23 pace average. So definitely sent it on the way home. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was absolutely giving it everything I had. Because the way we do it with the group is there's lots of different people that are different levels of fitness. So they're doing different speeds. And the way we do it, we start the session together. We go on a straight out and back. And if we turn around halfway into the session, we should all theoretically be finishing together at the end. That makes for a really great session because by the end, the faster people are starting to come up your ass by the end of the session. So for that last 3 minutes, the fast guys, so it was like Kyle and Rob, they were coming up my ass and they overtook me, and something just came over me and I was like, all right, I'm just going to try sit with these guys for as long as I can. I sat with them, jumped on the back of their train, and I just held on for dear life. And they were running around 3:18 pace. So I held on for pretty much maybe 2 minutes of that 3-minute rep at the end. And my arms were flailing. I was breathing so heavy. It was an all-out effort. But yeah, God, it just felt good. It felt good to open the legs up and just give it some. So yeah, that's exactly what I did. We ended up doing 3:50 pace on average for the 10 kilometers that we got for that session. So in total for the day, we hit just over 15K, and boy, it was just a beautiful session. Chef's kiss. Couldn't have enjoyed that any more than I did. And it was just great to actually lock in. Then we come to Saturday, guys. Saturday is usually just an hour, but I wanted to do a little bit more because I was trying to catch up on the mileage. And my friends Lockie and Hugh, they both messaged me separately. They hadn't met as well. They wanted to run on Saturday, and I was like, all right, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's all just meet together and we'll go for a nice run up to the spit through the trails. And that's exactly what we did. So we ran for an hour and 13 minutes. We got 14 or just over 14K for the morning. And it was just over 5-minute pace. So super chill, super cruisy with the boys. It's good catching up with them. And it was a really nice morning as well. It was nice and cool. I decided to wear the Mizuno, Super Blast. I actually decided to wear the Super Blast for this run. Partly because usually I would only wear the Super Blast on the Sunday, but I knew that the session I was going to be doing the next day, I wasn't wearing Super Blast because it was a big boy. It was a big boy. So yeah, just over 14 Ks for the morning. Pretty much what Saturdays are made of, guys. My absolute favorite thing to do is just go for that run, enjoy the morning, and then enjoy a beautiful coffee afterwards. Just yapping away. But now we come to the Sunday Longy. So this Sunday Longy was without a doubt the biggest Sunday Longy that I've done of the block, or maybe one of the biggest Sunday Longies that I've maybe ever done. I don't know. It was pretty big, and I will just say before I get into it, this was the best I've ever felt on a Sunday long run, the best I've performed. It was just what dreams are made of, to be honest. So let's get into it. So Sunday Longy, including 40 minutes at marathon pace and then 2x5 minutes at half marathon pace at the end. So we ended up running 36.5 kilometers for the morning. We had 4:18 per kilometer average, and it took us 2 hours and 37 minutes. So this was a big boy. This was a big boy session. Ran this one with Marty, Kyle, and Rini from the group. And Kyle and Rini were basically our pacemakers. When I say our, I mean Marty and my pacemakers for the day. So that was really fun. I was treating it like a race. My feeling going into this Sunday long run was treat it like a race. I was carb loading the day before, and I literally felt like I was in a race. I think I had a gel every half an hour. I was pumping salt tabs every half an hour as well, and it makes a difference, guys. It makes a difference. The difference between how I felt a couple of weeks ago on my long run and how I felt this week is just night and day. So fuel well on your long runs. Treat them like a race, treat them like a race day. It might be a little bit expensive going through the fueling, but it's worth it. It's so worth it in my eyes. Before I get into the splits and what the session was, you might have noticed on my Strava that I was added to Marty's workout. So the reason for this was that a couple of kilometers in the run, for some reason, I think my Coros shoe pod was playing up, and it gave me a 5:45 split and then a 4:45 split, which just doesn't make any sense. So I ended up with 700 meters short for the run. It ended up just throwing out all my stats, and it just annoyed me. So I ended up joining onto Marty's run, but I actually lost all of my heart rate data. I wore the HYROX like heart rate band this time. Yeah, it was so accurate. I'm gonna wear it every time now, I think. And it was just good peace of mind because it was showing my heart rate was nice and low, which is how I felt. So it just reconfirms that I was feeling good and feeling fit. So I don't have the heart rate data on my Strava, but I did screenshot it before I deleted it. And we're just gonna go off that today so I can explain to you guys how good I was feeling and where I'm at what paces today. The way the session went, guys, we started off with a 90-minute progression. We started with the first K at 5:11, and then we went into 4:50, and it pretty much just progressed nicely for 90 minutes until we got down to about 4:30 to 4:25 per K. We were slowly just ramping it up, and for the entire 90 minutes, my heart rate didn't go over the 150 beats. Perfectly in that zone 1 heart rate and exactly where I want to be for that progression. Again, I said I was feeling well and I was feeling really good. I was also wearing the New Balance SC Elite V4s just because I mentioned that the Super Blast didn't give me that super feeling, that carbon plate, that pop feeling that I felt like I needed. So I was already feeling good wearing the super shoes and I was ready to just go it. And then once we finished our 90-minute progression, we went into 40 minutes at marathon pace. So the marathon pace that we decided to go for, because Marty is aiming for sub 250, I'm aiming for sub 245. So my marathon pace is around 354. His is just shy of 4 minutes or just over 4 minutes. So we met in the middle and we went 355 was going to be marathon pace for this session. So we went straight into that. Our first kilometer was 4 minutes on the dot. So we're warming into it. And then after that is when I noticed that my shoe pod was on the piss because that's the kilometer I hit a 5:38. And then the next one was a 4:45. So I knew something was wrong. Because everybody around me were all running that 3:55 pace. We went 3:56, 53, 51, 53, 55, 53, 53, 53, and 53. And then the last one was 57. We went just over 10K for that 40 minutes and we were just clocking those Ks in like clockwork. I will say that this felt comfortable and it really gave me a confidence boost for the Melbourne Marathon where I plan to do that pace for 42.2 Ks. But when I say that I was comfortable, I was feeling pretty comfortable. It was very reassuring and it just boosted my confidence sky high from this. Considering it was hot, we were 90 minutes into the session and I was feeling this good. My heart rate stayed around that 165 beats the entire time. There was a few times it was lower, a few times it was a little bit higher, but overall, heart rate was looking really good and I was absolutely chuffed with that. But then we had a 5-minute jog after that 40 minutes at marathon pace where we just did that at probably like 420, 425, so just nice and cruisy. And then we went into 2 rounds of 5 minutes at half marathon pace with a 3-minute jog in between. So these 5-minute efforts, we did both at 3:38 average per kilometer. I will say that the first rep, we had the wind behind us and this felt uncomfortable, but I was still in control, felt really good. Then we had that 3-minute jog recovery. We did that about 4:20, and then we came into the final 5-minute effort, which we averaged 3:38 again, although the effort was definitely a lot higher on this one just because we were running into a pretty decent headwind. But yeah, we still managed to hold that around that 3:38 pace, which I'm absolutely stoked with. And I finished that 5 minutes and I didn't feel like I was absolutely wrecked. I was still feeling pretty good, still feeling pretty well fueled, and I felt like I could have held that for maybe another 10 minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes if I had to, which was a really good sign and really a really good confidence booster for me. Then we just cooled down about 2.5K until we hit 36.5 kilometers in total for the session. And I know it's a good indicator when I'm cooling down. If I'm still feeling chirpy and still feeling like chatting and I'm not absolutely punishing through those last few Ks, I was actually feeling pretty good. I had a bit of a pep in my step, so I knew this is a good sign of fitness. This is showing fitness and I'm in a good spot here. So all in all, I think that Sunday long run was just exactly what I needed to just confirm that what I've been doing in this block is working, and just to confirm that I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in my life. Melbourne 245 is not going to know what hit it. But yeah, that's going to conclude the training breakdown segments of the Training Diaries episode, guys. What we're going to get into now, the finger guns are back out, but we're going to get into the viewer Q&A. This is where you guys have sent me questions on my Instagram story, and I've hand selected a few that I think you guys would be interested in, and I'm going to answer them off the cuff as I can, and as honest as I can for you guys right now. But yeah, if you guys have any questions for future episodes, have a look out for my question box on my Instagram story on a Sunday, or you can just comment them down below on this video and then I'll get to them next week. But yeah, let's get into the first question, shall we? So usually I do about 3 or 4 questions. I've got 5 written down here. So some of these I'm just going to smash through. Some of them might take a little bit longer. But the first one is from Brad. It says, surely you should do HYROX. Come to Cape Town and smash it next year. Firstly, is Cape Town in South Africa? Because that's a long way. It's a long way for me to travel for HYROX. Secondly, with HYROX, I have like a love-hate with HYROX. I love the idea of it, but I don't think it's very plausible to throw into my training right now. I feel like training for HYROX would be very hard, and I honestly really respect people that train for HYROX and are weapons at it. I think it's a completely different beast to what I'm used to. I do hold a bit of size, but believe it or not, I haven't really been diving into the super functional strength side of training. I'm probably a fair bit weaker than I used to be. I mean, I could do the running, but I don't know how my endurance would go after a sled push and then lunges, and I think I would just honestly fall to bits. I would have to dedicate some more training specific to HYROX, which I think would be fun, but I just don't think it's really for me at this stage in my life and in my training and in my career, etc. But yeah, good question either way. Thanks, Brad. Then moving on, next one, we have a question from Cody, who is also an LSKD athlete. Shout out to you, Cody. So how many coffees do you drink a day? That's easy, 2 coffees. I have one BeforeYouSpeak coffee sachet before I run, every day before I run. So probably like half an hour after I wake up in the morning, depending on how early I'm running. And then I have another coffee after breakfast, so usually about 9 a.m., 9:30. And this one is made from a coffee machine where I have the BeforeYouSpeak organic beans, just because I love using the coffee machine. I love like freshly ground coffee. I don't want to miss out on that. So I have 2 coffees, and I had one just before filming this, and you could say it's working. But yeah, 2 coffees. Thanks for the question. Moving on, next one is from Cami Barella. Says, what is threshold training versus doing intervals? Okay, so my understanding of threshold training is you are training to a certain effort or heart rate, and the idea behind threshold training is you want to train just under the threshold so that you can become more efficient and you can push that threshold up. So for example, Victor Smanks has a really good way of saying this on his Runners FM podcast, which I would recommend anyone to listen to if you're interested in this kind of stuff, which I am. I don't really know much, but he knows a lot, and it's really interesting to me. So he says that you can't train above your threshold to improve it. There's no way to pull it up. The best way to do it is to push up. So you should be trying to push your threshold rather than pulling it. And basically you want to train just below your threshold so that your body can become more efficient, and then therefore you would increase your threshold that way. And to do with intervals, I guess interval training is just a type of training. So intervals is where you're working for a certain duration of time and then you're just resting in between. So you're working in intervals. If you're wanting to learn a little bit more about threshold or how to find your lactate threshold or what it even is, go back and watch my lactate threshold video that I did with the Run Clinic. Super informative. I'm no expert, as you guys would have just seen from that explanation. But yeah, super interesting stuff. Jump back and listen to that, Runners FM, or you can listen to the Threshold episode that I did a few weeks ago. But moving on, next one we have, do you follow a nutrition plan? So no, I don't follow a plan of sorts, but I do have I guess you could say a pretty strict-ish diet. I just basically go for whole foods always. I don't like any additives in my foods. Refined sugars, I stick away from those. I am mostly dairy-free and mostly gluten-free. Sometimes I'll have some stuff with gluten in it, but on rare occasions. And same with dairy. Sometimes I'll have some dairy, but mostly I'm DF, GF, and SF, so sugar-free. The only time I would really have refined sugars is when I have gels and stuff, just purely because I don't really know of another alternative. But I generally just think if you're eating enough, making sure that you're eating enough protein, you're having a good balance of carbs and fats, and you're replenishing what you're using, and you're choosing good whole foods and healthy foods, then you can't go wrong. And that's kind of my philosophy. I do have a girlfriend who is a nutritionist, so she does have a lot of influence in what we eat and making sure that everything is, everything's ticking all the boxes that we need. Yeah, I think fueling around training is definitely a must, like fueling before training, and then fueling after is definitely a must to create a big, strong, healthy body. So yeah, otherwise just try to stick to whole foods, and that's kind of my philosophy. Thank you. And then last question we have from Logan. So, hey bro, where do you store your gels when you're doing your long run or marathons? I wear the LSKD performance tights or racing tights, forget what the names are. They have big pockets down the sides, big enough to fit your phone, and definitely big enough to fit lots of gels. I think max I've had like 4 gels in each pocket, and it's nice and streamlined to you. They don't move around. It's just the go-to. I probably couldn't do the long runs and carry as much fueling as I do if I wasn't wearing those tights. They're my go-to for marathons as well. That's probably why you'll see me wearing tights every time I race, like a marathon or even half marathons, just because they're purely just the number one way to carry fueling, in my opinion. I've never really messed with belts before. I'm sure they're great. You just can't beat a running tight with a good amount of room in the pockets on the sides. And they usually have a pocket at the back where you can store extra stuff like hydration tablets, like your sodium tablets, and all that sort of stuff. Don't look past the LSKD running tights. They're the best. I swear by them. And yeah, you'll probably never see me in another pair of tights till the day I die. But yeah, that's going to end the Training Diaries episode, guys. If you're enjoying it, make sure you let me know in the comments you like this video, and subscribe if you're new to the channel so you don't miss any of my future Melbourne 245 content. But yeah, we're getting close, guys. We've got 3 weeks to go. It's creeping up. We got some really good content planned for the weeks to come. And I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying the City Marathon vlog. I was a bit nervous about the 40 minutes duration, but it's looking like you guys are enjoying it. It's my best performing video yet, so I'm chuffed with that, and I'm glad you guys are chuffed with it too. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.